You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side.
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one.
Are you kidding? Why the hell should I wait for you?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
If you're having nightmares, then welcome to the club. My name's Subaru Natsuki, and I am the Knight of Amelia.
Right now, all I can give you is just death.
It wasn't for you in particular.
You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
Good evening, everyone. And yes, I absolutely am impersonating one of those douchebags who, wears their sunglasses on stream like they need to, like it makes them cool, like it makes them look hip and tough and all that stuff. And I gotta stop this. It's driving me crazy. Who the fuck wears sunglasses inside, much less on stream like that? Do you know who you are? So tonight, I got a couple of manga to talk about tonight because we didn't do it last week. So there are 1, 2, 3 that I guess I will be talking about because I didn't read a whole lot. Kind of a weird week for me. And then obviously we have a bunch of anime to talk about that we'll be going over as per usual. But I gotta say, I need to eventually just learn. Yeah. Hello to Muffler Tape and Marcel. Oops. Yeah, I need to eventually learn to just commit to doing the full video when I do a project and just do it all the way through, because if I have to take a week break from it, I'm going to come back to it and find a bunch of things that I want to change, which is effectively what has been happening to the Death Note video that I've been working on repeatedly, which is why it's been so long since I talked about doing one versus where I am now on it, rescripting it yet again and going into re-recording it. Yeah. Also, as far as videos go, the reason that I did not put one up on Friday was entirely because I was distracted playing Battlefield 6. I won't lie. I've been enjoying the hell out of that game. I have a problem. But once the beta is over, I'll be back to, my usual commitments and checking up on other things. It was kind of nice to have some downtime to work on scripts and stuff before the stream here. It was great that I wasn't sitting here watching anime all the way up to the last minute. It's kind of nice, actually, to be able to get done with all of the shows in a week before the stream and have a couple of hours to just do something else to ease my mind a little bit and not feel like I'm going absolutely insane. So I feel much more refreshed going into this one than I have all season, actually. It's really weird. But all that said, I hope all of you are having a great or have had a great weekend. And I'm glad that you're willing to spend it here with me, wrapping up the week on a Saturday night, talking about manga and anime. So let's get started here. And I have to bring this up. We're going to talk about the first manga of the night that I have been reading, and this is one that I actually found out about. I'm going to make this bigger so everyone can see it. So it's going to take me off the screen, which is a little unfortunate, but I know you guys don't really care much about my ugly mug being on screen. You're more so concerned with the words coming out of my mouth and if I'm going to tell you what you want to hear about the anime that you love. A little bit of Arizona iced tea there, yeah. Okay, so this Hachigatsu Sanjuichi Nichi no Long Summer. Or in English, for your normal folk, the long summer of August 31st. What is this series about? Well, here we have the synopsis. 2 high schoolers, Suzuki-kun and Takagi-san meet in a time loop on August 31st. They are the only ones who can retain their memories when the day repeats itself. A possible cause of the time loop is Suzuki's unfinished business for the summer, a guy's greatest objective, a time loop comedy of youth that tackles love head on. So effectively, the premise is it's Groundhog's Day, but you have two Japanese teen high schoolers. It is demographics sane and interesting. But yeah, comedy, romance, sci-fi. Those are pretty good genres to put this in. But effectively, this dude, to give a little bit more detail as to what it's about, this dude, Suzuki, he is a very, very, I don't want to say autistic, but that's like the only way to describe some of his mannerisms. He's a character, that's for sure. The big part of him is that he just doesn't understand how to interact with women because he's basically gone to all boys schools all his life. He isn't one of those stereotypical, like, useless loner sort of characters. He's actually very smart and very athletic. He's just not very good at figuring out how to deal with women. Meanwhile, Takagi is more so like the fashion-oriented, artsy kind of girl. And they're both kind of, stuck in this time loop together. And he's very blunt with how he deals with her. Like in the first chapter, I would have to pull up some of my screenshots here, and I'll try and read them because I can't send them. It'll take me a little while to send them and port them over into the stream for people to see. But I do have a couple of screenshots from this manga. Okay, that's Denji. I know there's one point at which bro just straight up says, "Hey, we should have sex." As the oh yeah, like how he interprets Takagi liking him. There's a screenshot I have here of, "Wait, like you? You think that I like you? Ever since we met, you have touched me a total of 21 times. That must mean you like me, right?" Just to give you a little bit of a taste as to how this guy thinks and reacts to things. There's got to be more, right? There has to be more in here. But I don't see. Oh, this manga, shaking my head. Yep, it's this manga. And honestly, I do recommend it. I would give it an 8, to be entirely honest. I have it rated here, and I'm going to start, rating these on stream as I talk about them. And I've read 2 volumes so far. I know there's 9 in total in the Japanese version. There are 2 out in English right now. If you want a decent sort of like funny little rom-com manga, I think this is a good one. I feel like 7.21 is a little too low, but the artwork has been good. I like the characters so far. One of the things that will annoy me about a lot of the rom-coms or just romance manga in general is when they do like the quote unquote useless protagonist, and he's just absolutely a fucking bum with no special skills, and he's just kind of vaguely nice for once to the girl, and that's what wins her over. I'm sorry, but I'm not really like super into this idea of like useless dudes who are like completely giving up on everything. But that said, I enjoy this one. Effectively, he thinks that by, getting a girlfriend or falling in love or like losing his virginity will end the time loop. And there's a bunch of other adventures that they go on in the first couple of volumes. There's one where they're actually helping a couple of their friends, meet up. But yeah. Next up on the list, we have a weird isekai that I found. Watching Evangelion, it seems. I still have not started Evangelion. I still have not started it. Here's the next one. A weird isekai that I found. Because yes. So did I seriously just get reincarnated as my gag character? A lot of like stereotypical isekai-isms in this one. I will say that. And the synopsis here is Toru Aikawa is a university student who spends his days going through the motions of attending school and working at a local convenience store. The only time he really feels alive is when he's playing a massive multiplayer VR game, Real World Online. One day, he had a stroke of luck. He had a stroke of luck or bad luck. He's hit by a runaway bus and reincarnated as his game character. But something's gone wrong. Instead of the invincible warrior he mains, he's in the body of Nacht Schatten. The alluring dragon princess he made is a joke. Nacht's build is anything but optimized. She would never survive in the cutthroat world of an isekai story. And more to the point, she's a girl, but perhaps things aren't as bad as they seem, as Nacht Schatten is more capable than she appears. Basically, this... Hello, JM. How you doing? As far as Call of the Night goes, and I'm actually working on a video for this one. This is the one I was supposed to do Friday, but got distracted by Battlefield 6 and didn't do. Whoopsie. I have complicated feelings about Call of the Night. But hey, that's for another time. So yeah, as far as this goes, the art style is good. I find the whole thing entertaining, but I would under no means call this some sort of amazing work of art. It's stereotypical dude gets reincarnated as girl, he's overpowered, and now he's basically just going to spend a bunch of time flexing for his lowly slave because that's what he feels like doing. Fortunately, though, this isn't like the other version of this kind of story that I have seen where he spends the entire time diddling himself. Because that is a thing that this trope will do sometimes is, wait, I'm a woman. Let me put a couple fingers up there to see what it feels like. I believe I've read like 3 or 4 of these. Yeah. And that brings us interesting. Who wouldn't? I will not answer that question. I'm not going to answer that question. Okay. So here's the last one that I've been watching that I have been reading. And there's actually a light novel. I didn't realize that there were light novels for this. But I picked up the manga because I enjoyed the anime. And I was curious to see what the differences were going to be. So, farming life in another world. Having died of sickness at age 39, Machiro Hiraku is given the opportunity to go to another world. When asked what his wish is by God, intending to give him strength, he requests to have a healthy body. Offered a second wish, he chooses a peaceful life. A third wish, to be known, or to know the local language. And for a final wish, to be able to be a farmer. All right, thanks for stopping by, JM. I appreciate it. Anyway, so So I wanted to compare this to the anime because I enjoyed the anime. I thought it was a nice little like chill series to watch when it released. Um there is a lot this dude does a lot more banging the ladies in his village in the written version of the series than in the televised version of this series. Because it's almost net like him planting seeds, the anime. So him banging every one of the chicks is not mentioned whatsoever in the anime. And the only time like you ever like are like told that, oh yeah, he was slaying pussy is when they finally decide to announce, Rue's pregnancy. In this, they're a little bit more open with it. They're not very direct in saying like, yeah, I was fucking every night, but there's constant allusion to it, especially with panels where like they have this whole thing about like Lou trying to get Tia to like trade out with her and so that she would be so that she would have not to constantly be subjected to his libido. But then, of course, they also imply that the dude's doing the elves and a lot of the other characters, and yeah, they also a couple of the demon girls that are living there, and I foresee this dude having a lot of kids by the end of this series. For some reason, I foresee this dude having a whole lot of kids, and I'm at the point where he has 2. So that's already past where I was in the anime. Not that I can really blame him though, because I mean, if I were in his position, I probably would have gone for it too. Yeah, it is just what he asked for. So I guess that brings us to the main topic of the night. Share this tab instead. All right. So let's talk anime. Okay. We're going to open up, as we always do, with some talk about Dandadan, my favorite anime of the season. Beethoven. So we're finally looking at the whole Beethoven series of events that unfolds in the manga. We've also reached the turnaround point for Ira's character in this latest episode. And since we're at the Beethoven thing, we are starting Okarune's like very serious training where he is outright making an attempt to try to improve on himself and get more powerful because he wants to be able to do something about Evil Eye just in case something ever happens ever again. And I liked this episode. I liked Okarune taking an active role in like developing his powers and everything. And I've always loved the sort of goofy stuff that Dandadan does with like the supernatural stuff. The Beethoven thing, to me personally, has always been somewhat, and has always been just like a funny little thing that happened in there. Pardon me. Okay, just trying to make sure. And of course, we do have the whole. Now that I'm back, we do have the whole maid cafe thing that happens here. Sorry, I'm dealing with a little bit of connection issue. I don't know if it's because of the storm or if it's because of something else. But yeah. I like the training arc thing. The whole maid cafe thing was done pretty well. I enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty funny. Very wholesome there. And like I said, this is the part where like Ira's character, at least for me, really does start to come around. She really does start to like actually develop in a good way in the manga at the very least. She has a good backstory and an explanation for why she is the way she is when you first meet her. But this is the point where, like, as far as her character arc goes, I think I like her character from here going forward. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, Don, that there isn't really much else to say. Um, what the fuck is going on here? Okay, there we go. On that front, so we will wrap up the Don to Don discussion, and we'll move on to My Dress Up Darling, which is probably my favorite episode of anime this week because there was a lot of good stuff in this one. So the big parts of this episode are basically Maureen has some tummy troubles and she gets her new camera finally. Effectively, everyone starts pointing out that Maureen has been eating a little too much and that she's been putting on weight and she has to go on a diet. She gets all freaked out and starts, panicking and everything. She does the whole like panic thing where she goes and like puts on a bunch of her outfits and everything and is like trying to like desperately fit into him, and she finally gets the very like skimpy one that she had, the white one with like the strap bra and the short shorts, the one that she had to get a spray tan for that everyone freaked out at because it was cultural appropriation or something. It was blackface or whatever. It was bullshit. And then she realized that her tummy was hanging out a little bit and got really, really spooked and decided she wasn't going to do any cosplay until she had gotten back into shape. The other part that I mentioned, the photo bit, where she finally gets her new camera and everything. I really enjoyed that because I don't know, it was a very wholesome character moment for the whole thing. Plus, it was really, really well animated. So the way it was presented and directed, I thought was done incredibly well. Calling it a commercial, I feel like I don't know that I don't agree with that, but whatever. But this is probably my favorite episode of the week. I wouldn't say that this is my favorite episode of the series, but it's my favorite episode of the week. It's the one I enjoyed the most. And of course, we cannot move on from this subject without talking about the 2 times where Gojo was absolutely terrified of his future wife. Absolutely terrified. Not in her spending habits and in how much food she was consuming, because he learned that rather than eating the things that he was making for her for breakfast, she was eating them the moment she got home. Overall, I think it was a very, very good episode for the show, but it's been an overall very, very well performing series this season. So we shall move on. Clevitas. Let's talk Clevitas. So wow, things couldn't have possibly gone any more sideways than what they did here in this one. What a hell of an episode of Clevitas this was. So, I mean, for Drell to have developed that spell, that's a pretty insane thing. I don't know how I feel about the way I don't know really how I feel about like giving Drell that much power. It feels like it might be going a little too over the top, but at the same time, when you have something like Clevitas as a character in the series, having that level of balance, especially if you do want to maintain a proper like serious tone, is kind of necessary. Like your character can't be too terribly OP. But it does look like the wizard from Bolane has manipulated the townsfolk into going and hunting down Alicia and Nell. And of course, we did have the super strength from Nell this episode that we kind of all were predicting. So in this one, I feel like the animation in some cases probably could have been done better, particularly when it came to the fight between Spear Guy and Drell. I forget what the Spear Guy's actual name was. I felt like the animation for that could have been done better. In other areas, though, I think it was actually done pretty well. Yeah, this is kind of what I was saying, is you do need that strong antagonist in the series, because if Clevitas is just going to steamroll everyone, the series doesn't really become very interesting. So presenting some challenges for him to get around does make for a better story. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to be handled, but we'll get there, I guess. This episode of Clevitas, I think it was pretty good. There were some things in there that I didn't think or that I didn't see coming, really. I figured that the whole thing with Drell would end up in him like escaping or whatever and moving on. I did not expect for him to have countermeasures in place that were, actually effective. So that was an interesting little change up. One thing that did catch me off guard, so I appreciate that. Sword of the Demon Hunter would be the next on the list. And so I will say that I do think that I was wrong as of last week's assessment about who our, over 100 years girl is. Now that the daughter has actually, grown up a little bit, she looks remarkably much more like the girl that was with Genia in the future than anyone else. So I'm willing to admit that I was most likely wrong about that. But I think we got a very interesting episode with this, with the whole father thing going on. And there was an interesting point made of like dispelling all these evil spirits by befriending him. So this whole episode, it may have seemed like kind of who knows? As far as the girl goes, I don't think we've seen enough of her to really like say definitively that she has like powers or anything. I just feel like after getting a good look at them, it's more likely the case that she's the one who is hanging out with Genia than anything else. And it would make sense because she is, I don't know, younger and less proper than Ofu. So it fits the character better. But yes, father episode. I liked actually seeing Genia being invested as a father and not like trying to raise this little girl. I thought it was a nice little touch to the whole series. But really the point of this show was having our Shinigami guy trying to dispel a curse by, taking it to a tea ceremony. It was kind of an interesting yeah, I feel like that would be a much more satisfying thing to have happen in the series than anything else. I don't know. It seems like a slower episode because there isn't as much like direct conflict with a lot of things, but there is a lot of callback to some of the things that Genia experienced in his past, especially where he kind of equates his experiences with raising his daughter with what he experienced with his sister. And that there's a point of nostalgia there for him. There's a lot of reflection there. I liked that part. And again, I'm hoping that this girl, gets to spend a long, happy life with the man who raised her. But it's fun to take stabs at this, like just to spitball things and throw it out there. You're not going to get 100% of them. I don't expect to. So that is one that I will chalk up to. Yeah, I was just fucking wrong. Okay, so next on the list, Secrets of the Silent Witch. Ooh, that's some thunder. Thunder. Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Okay, I know you probably want to beat me over the head with the club for that, but whatever. Secrets of the Silent Witch. I liked this episode quite a bit, particularly for Isabella's role in all of this. There's also some interesting relatability moments between characters, particularly with Monica and the prince, because he sees her basically bowing and apologizing for causing everyone trouble and like calling herself useless, and he reflects on his past and sees a lot of himself in that. That was an interesting moment. I think that does a good job of, like sort of relating the characters to each other. The big defining moment of this latest episode, though, is effectively the tea party thing that happens, where the bitchy girl who has been doing her thing in the background for a little while now decided she was going to go out and try and play a prank on Monica. And what ends up happening is that she poisons Monica, which is a bit of a joke by the end of the episode of people start asking, like, how is it that the silent witch who was sent here to protect the second prince almost died to poison? Oh, there's also the fact that she left Louis's maid up there for over a week. That was funny too. But to talk more about the serious stuff, fortunately, Claudia isn't someone who is like hostile towards Monica, because she does come to Monica's rescue in this, and her medical knowledge becomes really helpful in saving her life. But really, the highlight of this whole episode, the one thing that I really did like, was Isabella's role in this episode, where she comes in and plays the villainess and basically puts those girls in their place. Like, straight up puts the fear of God in them the whole freaking time. That was a really, really satisfying way to deal with bullies. And I am very, very happy with how they handled that. So, Secrets of the Silent Witch has been good. This one was a little bit more serious than anything. It strayed away from a lot of the comedy because it was more so focused on the poisoning thing. But there was a little bit of humor in it. We do find out that Claudia is a bit of a yandere. She is very, very obsessed with her fiance. Like, she really, really likes the guy, it seems. And she's kind of upset with Monica, and the reason that she's been staring this whole time is because she feels like Monica is, swiping him away from her. Also, that family is probably getting trashed right now. Yeah, probably. There's a lot of things going on with that one. Okay. very good episode for the Silent Witch. I thought it was really good. Gachi Akuta. Let's talk about Gachi Akuta next. That's the next one on the list. So I do enjoy this series, but I think this is one that I am going to demote one because I don't think this was its strongest episode. Now, one of the things that I have really enjoyed about Gachi Akuta is that it is a much slower series. And I tend to appreciate those more, but I respect people who don't really enjoy the slow burn kind of stuff the way I do. This is one that does seem like it's really doing its job to try and set a good foundation for the story as it goes. So it's sort of easing its way into a lot of the big topics rather than just pitching you right into them. It's still sort of in the introductory phases of what it's doing, and we're 5 episodes in. And I actually liked this one. So in this episode, we get Rudo's welcome party, and there is, I don't ever remember seeing the actual welcome party in the manga, but they do a pretty extended scene about everyone, getting along, and like the supporters and everything, and how they were appreciative of Rudo doing what he did, even though he feels like he's completely useless and just got in the way. And then, of course, some people find out about the fact that there's a spherite in the cleaners, and they lure the cleaners into a trap. And now Zach is part of the group, and he stays behind to defeat a couple of the raiders, and he deals with the clay girl pretty easily. He figures that whole trick out and is able to do something about them. Now, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, though, because now there is yet another character being introduced who seems like he's about to be much, much more problematic for everyone than the last chick. The animation was good for this. I feel like it probably could have been done a little bit better. There were times where I felt like, okay, maybe that's not the greatest. Episode 4 probably still has the best animation in the show so far. But it was still pretty solid to see how it was done. So yeah, this one being slow, I don't mind. A lot of people do complain about the fact that it is slow, at least from what I've seen online. I actually like that because I feel like it's taking its time to set up the story properly. It gives me a feel of competence about the writing that I just genuinely appreciate about a show. Pardon me. So, who the fuck is pinging me? Loud ass fucking pings. Okay. So that's Gachi Akuta. Okay, let's talk. The fragrant flower blooms with dignity. God, I love watching the show. I feel like it's like a cinnamon roll, really. It's sweet and enjoyable. And I'm moving this one up this week because I really genuinely did like what they did with this episode. So, Rintaro's friends are absolute bros in this one. Like they're great in this episode, especially with how they, step into the whole fight closer to the end of the whole episode and have his back when he needs them. I like that they aren't making Subaru a complete hard ass in this, and that she's actually someone who is willing to try and get along with people and like move out of her shell and like be nice, make amends, all that kind of stuff. And generally, like Rintaro being another like good friend himself. There's a lot of basically just like people being good to each other kind of moments. That's why I kind of describe it like a cinnamon roll. It's a very like happy experience of an anime for the most part. There aren't a whole lot of like big like, oh no, kind of drama moments that you got to worry about. It's just a good romance anime. And of course, I find it funny that like the shortest, most normal looking dude in the group is the one who is like the kick-ass person. It's almost like they're actually good people. Yeah, I think that's the whole point of like what this show is saying is that it effectively the common theme in all of this is don't judge a book by its cover. And like a lot of the people who seem like they would be like the rough crowd or like super like prissy and uptight or whatever, they aren't as bad as you would think when you actually get to know them. I mean, Rintaro is the prime example of this. He is the dude who looks like the stereotypical like delinquent bruiser, but his family owns a cake shop and he is a softie. So I like it. It's one of those ones where like I just have a good time watching this anime. Um, I don't think that it is as good as something like My Dress Up Darling or Kaguya-sama Love is War. But in terms of romance anime or romance stories in anime and manga, Karuko is absolutely fantastic as a heroine in this one. She does really help make the show. A ray of sunshine is such a perfect way of describing her. Yes, but yeah, this is the probably one of my favorite happy animes of the season. Like it's just fun to watch. It makes me happy. It's pretty low stress. There's no like I said, no drama or anything to the plot that makes you like, oh no, what's gonna happen next time? This one is just like, oh, it's good character work, and the cast are all great people that I really do like. Well, that said, we do have one more in the must-watch category for this week that we do need to cover, and that is Witch Watch. And this is a flashback episode that kind of goes back to how Nico and Moe kind of met and the origins of their whole relationship. So we do learn that basically they both were kind of picked on and that they had each other's backs. And that is where their friendship started. Of course, Nico, being Nico, started causing problems almost immediately with her magic. So now we get the whole curse thing where she basically wrote that letter of I'm going to be I'm always going to be your friend. And then Moe kept it around for like 5 years, looking at it every day, and that supposedly created the problem that he has where he can't see her as a love interest. Supposedly that is what's going on here, but they decide to trick Nico into casting a spell on him just to try and confirm what's going on with that. And we actually get to see that it's more like assisted cursing yourself, to be entirely honest, because if Nico had been a bit more careful with what she was doing, it wouldn't have happened. But yeah, he really is responsible for the bulk of cursing himself at that point. Like she made the thing, but he's the one who decided to look at it for every day of the week for, I don't know, 5 years. But at the same time, we do see that there is some sort of confirmation that he does have some kind of, romantic interest in her. So that's making progress on that front at the very least. However, it was a much more character oriented episode this time around. It was much more focused on that relationship between Nico and Moe. It didn't really do any action. It didn't do a whole ton of comedy or anything. It was effectively just focused on that particular aspect. When Witch Watch hits, it hits pretty well. But it does have its misses. And while I do enjoy it, there are some episodes in here that just aren't good, especially the whole episode decided to be a completely different anime than what this is. Just saying. All right. Oh, okay. I guess that, okay. I was trying to figure out, I tried to send everyone from here. You need to put on redirect. Huh. Okay. I guess I'll have to look into that then. Okay, so dealing with the me. Yes, I do. I do think that I do still think that Witch Watch is a very good anime. I'm just saying that there are some episodes I can like the anime and still criticize it and say that there are some episodes that just aren't good. I still think it is a very, very watchable anime and one that I do genuinely enjoy all the way through. Well, I shouldn't say all the way through, but most of the way through because there are one or two hiccup spots that just aren't as good. That brings us over to dealing with the Mikadono sisters as a breeze, however. And whole Gachi Gachi cha chia cha kaka Gachi cha ta chia ka kaka. I can't even say how what whatever. Gachi Akata is better sub. The dub is retarded. Interesting. I actually enjoy the dub for it, but perhaps I should listen to the sub and give it a try. So Kaiju no, actually no, Kaiju number 8 is later. That's a little down the list. I just typed a bunch of letters because I can't spell it. That sounds like a you problem. All right. Dealing with Mikadono sisters is a breeze. What is you thinking in this episode? Oh God, I'm sorry. I apologize. I have no idea. Like, dude gets heated in the moment and decides to challenge someone to a fucking fight. Nico may die. You mean you? Yeah, you may die in this episode, in this upcoming episode. He has stepped into some hot shit with this one. Anyway, in this latest episode, we basically get Nico having her whole conflict between does she pursue her career or does she stay where she is because she likes the people she is surrounded by, and wants to, you know, spend time with her family and her friends, pretty much. So she rejects this fucking dude, or at least his offer, and says, "No, I don't want to follow you. I want to stay where I am because I like the people I'm surrounded by. I don't need to abandon everything that I've just, you know, gotten back. I have like, I am like, you know, repairing my relationships with my sisters. I have this guy that I have a crush on who's completely fucking useless. I have friends here in the club that I appreciate." And of course, he's a fucking dick like his father, or like her father. And she is sitting there like, who gives a shit about that? You should come to the you should come to my school and do all this and, you know, be separated from everything. And that may well be the case. Logically speaking, it is a good move for her to go to a different school and face a higher challenge with it. What the fuck? Hold the fuck on. Sorry, I just got a message from someone asking, from Lethal Lightning, of all things, asking what anime uh, he should be watching. Interesting. But yeah. I'll finish up the Mikadono thing here while I try and respond to this simultaneously. Nope, my brain is not built for multitasking like this. So, I don't like the guy. Logically speaking, yes, if she wants to pursue her career, it would be the right choice for her to go to that school. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of a sad thing to specifically focus on your career, especially at this age, and shut everything else out. Nico is finally getting to the point where she's actually like reconnecting with a lot of people. And now you're gonna rip that away from her. So it's effectively a conflict of I want to be around these people. Like I value these connections now. Logically speaking, the father and this dude have a point. Like I said, if you're pursuing that career, sure. But is that really the thing that like Nico really wants to do? Is that like the entire thing that she is like dedicated to? Is that her end goal? Is just being the best martial artist she can, or is martial arts something she's passionate about but doesn't feel the need to pursue it to that length? I guess that's really what it comes down to. I really like this one. It's probably going to be a disaster, but I do really, really like this one. I think it's one of my favorite. It's going in the must-watch category. It's been consistently really, really good with the characterization, with making me laugh, with having a good, family sort of message to it. I love the shit out of this one. Okay. She has to decide what she wants to do in the future. Besides, she could still become successful without going to their school. There is a point there to that, and there's also this like. She is good at it, but she clearly wants to, be girly. There is also that, like, she enjoys a lot of the other things that she was denied, and I feel like her life will probably, take on a different meaning if she's allowed to actually, uh, tell that cunt silent witch. All right, thank you, Biggles, for the member message. I absolutely will give you one of where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is the clip? Oh, there we go. I'm excited to see what they're actually going to do with this whole thing. There are girly martial artists. Tell them I said watch it. Yeah. So yeah, I've been loving the shit out of this. The next one, of course, to talk about will be Call of the Night. Tell them Apocalypse Hotel last season, but must watch. I'm going to put in a couple here that I feel like are worth watching. So right now I have Gachi Akta and Clevitas because I know those are going to be a little bit more action oriented and they're good ones that I do recommend. I'm going to say Secrets of the Silent Witch. Oh, am I? Who's lagging? Okay, there's that. Let's see. I do want to. Yeah, Apocalypse Hotel is actually a really good one that I think I might recommend. Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. You may like that's an interesting recommendation. Few of last season that are good would be, let's see here. Apocalypse Hotel. Let me pull up one of my old lists here really quick. Screenshots. Let's see. Is this from? Yeah, okay. So there's that. Apocalypse Hotel was really good. Last season. What about before that? Been Magia Lumiere. What is this? That would have been winter, so this would have been. MHA Vigilantes. And all right, there we go. All right, so Gachiakuta, Clevitas, Secrets of the Silent Witch. Apocalypse Hotel, MHA Vigilantes, Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. And then I'm just going to add Ruri Rocks on because you could watch for the fat ass. All right, there we go. What about Big Ule's waifu, Goa? I don't know about Goa in the ass department, but I mean Nagi's pretty good. Like Okay. Yeah. Okay. Call of the Night is what's up next. Fuck, I gotta get back to this. Okay. I am done getting distracted by a Lethal Lightning request for information on anime. So Call of the Night. So has anyone watched this latest episode? Like just to make sure, like everyone who is here, who is watching Call of the Night, has watched this latest episode of Call of the Night, because I don't want to say what I'm going to say without you seeing this episode, because it's kind of relevant. It'll really affect how you feel about this. So I will start here and give some people some time to answer just by talking about, like, we're exploring Nazuna's past in this one. So it was kind of interesting. We got a lot of character lore in this, and it's giving us like a reason for the controversy that we're having in this story, or the conflict, I should say, we're having in this story for certain characters. The one thing I will say though is it feels very blatant. It hasn't directly said it yet, which is why I say it's very blunt with the way that it basically just revealed that Nazuna's first friend is the vampire hunter. It didn't exactly do like I don't think the show has ever really been like super reserved about certain information. Once you actually start getting the pieces, it's about ready to reveal what's going to happen to you anyway, or what's going to happen anyway. But in this episode, like, they don't specifically reveal it, but they do make a lot of implications and stuff here. That the detective was formerly someone who knew Nazuna. No, 100%. Like, I am 100% certain that that high schooler that they were talking about in the flashback, her name is Meijiro Kyoko, I believe. I am 100% certain she is actually the detective. After that last episode, and I will die on that fucking hill. I do not think that this is a bait and switch whatsoever. There's just too much that lines up. So let's talk. I'll lay out the evidence here really quick for you. Effectively, what we know about the detective. Well, she hates vampires. But we do see a flashback of why she hates vampires. She is standing there over someone in her family who was dead. What we know about vampires is that some of them do like to prey on people and make them fall in love, only to turn them. So what I'm guessing, and this will link into a couple of the other things that happen here. What I am guessing is that Kyoko's father gets turned into a vampire because he was cheating or something like that. And then he goes and kills his wife, her mother, and then disappears after a traumatic experience. And 10 years later, she shows up at a school where he has been hiding for almost 10 years and puts him out of his misery. Why would I make that link to season 1? Well, how would she? It would really make sense. I mean, you could get to the point where, like, she finds the ring and everything to, weaken him. But it would make sense if she had it because that was her father and it was something that she held on to. Also, the lighter that she constantly uses, the smoking habit. There's so many tells to this one. Like, apologies. She was not. She was not present there. She was off doing something else. The issue, though, is that the detective has kind of acted like they knew Nazuna in the past. Like when she first confronts Ko, she mentions Nazuna Nanakusa. I don't know. To me, it seems like a pretty open and shut book. Or open and shut case. Like, holy shit, that's a pretty big fucking reveal. A really good one. So like I genuinely fucking enjoy everything that has happened in this episode. And in fact, with everything that has happened surrounding the detective, all of the developments and everything that have happened here, this is another one that I do actually want to move up to the must watch because this whole saga has made me reconsider everything that is done in season 1. It goes from just having a mass season 1 to being a bit of a slow burn for the sake of payoff in later parts of the I need to bring this back up before I start moving things around. I do not think Nasuna is the one who kills her parents. I could be wrong about that, but I have a feeling that that is not the case. Whew. Okay. Either way, really like this one, this episode. The whole part of season 2 here has really changed my perspective on it. It's changed it from just having a mess season 1 to being a slow burn with a really good payoff in season 2. Perhaps I am sorry, Call of the Night. I was not familiar with your fucking game, okay? There is some good shit there. That moves us on down the line to the summer that Hikaru died. Okay, so this is another one where like it strays away from all the supernatural stuff and goes with the weird like gay romance that's kind of going on here. So who keeps fucking pinging me? Fuck you, Caleb. Okay. Control and control. The fact is that I'm just not a huge fan of yaoi. I should max this out. Yeah, it goes from gay romance to gay domestic violence. And honestly, I kind of respect the attempt to just put Hikaru out of his misery and be done with all of this stuff. So, like Yoshiki trying to kill Hikaru because he's kind of like realizing that this thing isn't human and everything. And he's kind of having an existential crisis because of it. That was an interesting twist to this whole thing. I thought it was really good. I still really do enjoy the supernatural part of this so much more. It's so much better when it focuses on the supernatural stuff. Poor girl can't hear supernatural things anymore though, so she seems to have lost her powers, is I think what they're implying here. And then we have, of course, Hikaru reaching inside himself and splitting himself in half. So there's some interesting stuff here. It isn't all terrible. It's just better when it focuses on all the creepy spirit stuff. I like this show so much more when it does that, rather than when it focuses on the weird gay tension that's going on between this dude and his dead friend. Okay, and now we can talk about Biggle's favorite anime of the season. Why is I need to do a reset on my laptop at some point. It is struggling here. Ah. Biggles loves 30-year-old guys. Better guard my place from him. Okay. Back, not distracted. Let's keep going on this. Sorry, I have been a skits tonight for no reason. So we had the probably the most epic part of this whole exchange here. With Kafka and Narumi wailing on Kaiju number 9 in this episode. And basically, given what is said here, and this is something that I didn't really pick up on with the manga or anything, it is very heavily implied that even though they didn't really do anything to defeat Kaiju number 9 here, their efforts did buy them a lot of time, because Kaiju number 9 basically says every time they attack me, the rejection response gets worse. So all the damage they did actually did mean something. It seems to have bought them time to train and to power up. So I respect it. Of course, they are now, unveiling the remainder of Kaiju number 10. So I'm really looking forward to the number 10 suit thing being I don't know, probably next season, if I had to guess, would be the number 10 suit. And we are now, I think it was like 3 to 6 months. Yeah. That does sound about right. Either way, we have Kafka's whole path forward now with this show and like what he's going to be doing. Basically, his spot on the Defense Force as Kaiju number 8 is being rejected. However, they are going to continue to use him in the war because Narumi recognizes that he needs this dude's strength if he wants to win this. So this was a really good episode for Kaiju number 8. Like I said, I've never been a huge fan of this story, but insofar as it being just a good action series, I respect it. I put some respect on its name, okay? Whew. So it's going to remain at the top of the very good category, if you ask me. And that brings us to the bootylicious, the amazing anime about rocks. Oh. Sorry, I have to go clean myself up here a little bit. Like just thinking about Nagi. I need someone like Nagi, okay? Oh, okay. So we get the Sapphire Hunt this episode, which I did really like how they tied that into local legend and to like some of the like regional lore and all that. There's some cool stuff going on there. We find they find the old like sacred site where like the dragon supposedly sacrificed itself to stop the storm, and kind of make the connection of like, oh, blue dragon remains, Sapphire. Yeah, that checks out. Ruri, though, gets her gemstones finally, so that's something that she's been looking forward to. But I think the best part about this has been watching her like grow as a character. She's gone from like the shiny obsessed like gremlin at the beginning of the series to someone who actually appreciates the amount of work that goes into a lot of these like scientific discoveries and is actively participating in a lot of the research that the girls are doing. And of course, I will never turn down the opportunity to see Nagi, especially with her hair up like that, like all tied up like that. Like, oh, she looks good. This is my down bad moment for the season. Oh, like altered brain chemistry, like neuron activation, altered brain chemistry. This isn't even a hear me out. This is a I'm gonna shout this from the fucking rooftops. I want her. I need her. But enough of me gooning alone in my room in front of a bunch of people on the internet. Ruri Rocks is just a Nagi simping with you guys is unreal. I don't even fucking care. I don't fucking care.
Is that right? You could be right. You're so right!
She is amazing and you cannot change my mind, okay? Okay. So there's that. Game Center Girl. All right. Cultural exchange at the Game Center Girl. Still no Kendo Girl. Nagi might win Waifu of the Year in the Anime Blackjack and Hookers Award. She may. She may just. So yeah, we have Renji's gaming rival in this one, who happens to be a middle school girl the same age as Lily and his sister. She is really, really pissed off that he beat her once when she was a kid. So she spends basically her entire life dedicated to, playing these these games just so that she can beat Renji. Finally, Renji is doing away with the disguise, so I guess there's that. And Aoi is like really, really like disappointed in herself for not realizing that it was her brother the entire freaking time because she is a nitwit. But it looks like Lily is making a new friend with this gamer girl, so maybe she'll finally start to learn some things about it, and they will, bond over that, and her group of friends will grow bigger. I think I feel bad for the student, the class pres, because every time she goes to try and talk to Lily, she misses her opportunity because she overthinks it. That is probably one of my favorite recurring gags for this entire season, this series, not this season, this series, is the fact that like every time she tries to go and like talk to Lily, she biffs, she fails, she messes up. So I'm just waiting for her to finally get her chance to actually, go and talk to the girl and make a new friend and all that. So, yes, this is the biggest disappointment of the episode. We are again deprived of best girl kendo chick. Ugh. Why do you do this to me? Okay. Moving on down the line. To Be Hero X would be the next on the list. Right? No, it's Betrothed to My Sister's Ex, and then it should have been Game Center Girl, and then To Be Hero X. Weird. Okay, so we're gonna do Betrothed to My Sister's Ex this time around. So did anyone else around here feel like the sister was still going to be alive in all of this? I don't know what I said. Like earlier in the season, I think I probably actually said like I'm pretty convinced that she's just dead. Yeah, Betrothed was kind of crazy this week. There was a pretty big reveal here, but these last couple of episodes, I had kind of been feeling like, are they going to bring the sister back, especially when they started doing the stuff with like the doll and everything? Like I knew it was obviously a doll or whatever, but I was like, are they actually going to like bring the sister back or something? Is there's some sort of weird fuckery going on? It was a thought that I was in the back of my mind that I just kind of dismissed because I felt like it might be a little bit of a cliche, and I didn't say anything about it, but it looks like that was in fact the case. The sister is most definitely alive now. We do know that, especially after, you know, the end of that last episode. They it's not exactly like a it's not exactly like a hidden thing in there now. But Mio's detective work was pretty interesting. She basically just lied her way through a bunch of stuff to get into people's places, and yeah. I think like seeing the whole date in plain clothes with Kiros and Maria was a thing, but really the craziest part, like has already been said, was the fact that the sister faked her own death. And I don't know, I kind of actually like the idea of like the sister just like, I'm really hoping that it's the case that the sister is just like, I wanted my younger sister to be happy. So I faked my own death so that she could be the one getting married to him and get out of that abusive home, because everyone treats her so poorly that she doesn't deserve it. A lot of like big twists and reveals here this week. That's, you know, kind of why I titled it "Who Could Have Seen That Coming," or "Who Could Have Seen It Coming," especially with so as far as this goes, it's gonna stay here. That's where we're leaving it. But like some of the big twists that have come out this season or this week, I need to keep my head on straight. There's a bunch of noise that I'm hearing. There's thunder outside. There's a movie going on below me in the basement. I'm too easily distracted. Sorry. So another twisty episode. Try and recover this segue. One that we can look over to would be To Be Hero X. And this one, I actually thought this was a really good episode for To Be Hero X. I'm not going to lie. I really like a lot of what they've just done to bring this back around. Of course, there's some weirdness with this one. I feel like it does show its hand a little bit too much with how all of this is going to resolve. Particularly because, well, we just had Easel and Nice show up to this whole thing. So we now have a fight. Now we now have fights with characters who we do know that, because of the beginning of the series, are still alive after this. So I think that does pretty much kind of doom a lot of characters to die, or to just sort of like I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Nice is back again. Yes, Nice is back again, but it is not Ling Li. It's the original Nice. And he's actually not very nice at all, as it turns out. So I'm guessing effectively what we're going to see here is all of the events that led up to Nice taking his own life in the very first episode, which brought Ling Li to take up the role of the hero. And I think effectively what we're going to see here is we're going to get this to loop all the way back to the very last thing we saw where Moon gets headshot by Easel. Likely because they feared that Moon may know too much about what Ling Li actually did. And I'm really hoping that this whole thing ends with Ling Li putting the kibosh to all these people, because that would really be the only satisfying way you would be able to do it. Set this whole thing up for Ling Li to be the hero at the very end. It's kind of a wild series of events if you think about it, but it's tied together pretty well. It's done some very interesting things here, and I think we're going to get some really good fights. We already did with Ghostblade and Easel. I thought Ghostblade was going to be one of the bad guys here, but no, this dude is fighting Easel trying to save people. I respect it. But like I said, considering we know that Nice and Easel are both going to survive this, or at least they likely should survive this, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to solve this, because I feel like they're just going to kill a lot of these characters off. I feel like that's what has to happen, unless they want to make some sort of contrived way for everyone to get out of there and escape and, go rogue and all of that. But this is very clearly the second Easel. So from what I understand of the timeline, the Ling Li part takes place after everything that we just watched in this latest episode. But the Easel stuff is some of the very first. It takes place as all the Lucky Cyan stuff is going on. So really, you could begin the series with the Easel stuff and then watch all the way through, to the end of that, and then watch all the Ling Li stuff. And that's actually the proper timeline of events from what I'm seeing. So yeah, that is the first Easel. Or that is the second Easel. Because, well, he's working for the guy who set that whole duel up in the first place. Either way, I appreciate this episode. It was a very satisfying one for me. That brings us to the last of the very good category, which would be Yaiba. So in this latest episode, Yaiba escapes the Twilight Zone. He goes and he develops a... How did he become a killer for hire, though? He's being manipulated. I don't really think he's a killer for hire. Same with Nice. I don't really think they're killers for hire. I just think the commission has, or maybe not the commission, but some group within there has a group of, super powered hitmen. He basically got groomed. I don't really think it has anything to do with becoming a killer for hire. The dude was basically manipulated into becoming the new Esol anyway. You got to keep that in mind. Second Esol, he was manipulated into all of that by the guy who he thought of as like a father figure, the dude who took him in. He was groomed for it. It doesn't have to be any sort of hero for hire. All the guy has to say is, hey, I want you to kill this person for me. And he likely will. But back to Yaiba. So Yaiba uses Jubei to do his training. He gets the guy drunk, gets him to turn into a werewolf, and does the whole training thing and develops a new technique, which then allows him to defeat the Kappa that's guarding the exit out, and is able to escape the Twilight Orb. Well, his whole arc is basically a fall from grace. Like, his whole thing is he starts out as this well-meaning hero, but becomes jaded and cynical and more focused on revenge and everything until the duel. So by that point, he's no longer the same person who, quote unquote, wanted to save people. So yeah, Yaiba's story this week, not really the most amazing thing. I like the black and white thing. I thought the monochrome look to it for the Twilight Zone parts were pretty good. The animation was cool. I do like that Yaiba is continuing to train and develop new techniques and all that stuff, so he's not getting caught out by Onimaru. He also gets 2 orbs in this one because he's finally secured the darkness orb. But I don't really think it was like the most like amazing like storytelling episode in this one. It was just kind of there. It was nice. It's very shonen. It's fun. I enjoyed it. And that's all that really matters. It's going to stay right there. That's how we are going to leave it. That's all I really have to say about Yaiba, to be entirely honest. I like the way they did this little training arc and how they developed some new stuff. Okay. That brings us down to the interesting category. Ugly Mug Epic Fighter. I don't really care much for the whole casino thing, to be entirely honest. I'm not like too terribly impressed with it. We have a new villain that we're gonna have to deal with in this latest episode. And he runs a casino, and it seems like I will never be deceived by or misled by lies, and I will destroy rich people and send them down to hell. That whole thing. And of course, it does sort of make mention of Rize's transformation at the very end there. I like several elements of this one, Biggles, but Seika is definitely like the heart and soul of the show for the most part. She is a big part of why it is worth watching. So yeah, Ugly Mug Epic Fighter. I enjoyed this latest episode. Probably could have been better. I feel like a lot of the stuff that was happening in this one was pretty anachronistic. I don't enjoy that sort of stuff, but this is a sort of goofy isekai. And it's largely serving its purpose about, people living their second life, doing things differently to try and make up for everything that they didn't have in their first. We do get to talk about Onmyo Kaiten in this one. Sakamoto Days, Onmyo Kaiten. That's another one we gotta do. So in this episode of Onmyo Kaiten, we get an explanation for the world whittle and everything that's going on there. And Hareyuki or whatever, Hareaki, whatever our main character refers to him as. It turns out to be a very serious supervillain in this one. And one of the bigger the bigger things that happens this episode is we do learn a little bit about Tsukimiya. There's a lot going on in this one, honestly. It's kind of hard to really like sum it up into a succinct way, but like with the whole Battle of Worlds thing is very, very interesting. I kind of like how it's been doing the story. I don't know, it still feels very shonen, but this one has kind of improved in my eyes quite a bit. I like how they do several elements to this. And I am actually looking forward to where they're going with this, even though there are certain elements to it that may or may not be the most fantastic things in my opinion. I still think it does deserve the promotion. I actually do enjoy it. It started off rough, like, whatever. It's grown on me. It genuinely has. I just have to laugh though that it's one of the artists who did one of the first two intros to Jujutsu Kaisen, Huya. They did the intro for this, so every time I hear them, I think of Jujutsu Kaisen automatically. Okay. Detectives. Oh god, I'm dying here. Detectives these days are crazy. Come on. Where is it? This show is so funny to me. The whole Phantom Thief thing, I thought was really fucking funny. Like the police chief's daughter is obsessed with like the whole Phantom Thief thing, and she thinks of the old guy as her rival and all that. I thought that was funny. We had, of course, the whole like coffee and aphrodisiacs thing that's going on in that whole bit where here's a pill that that makes a coffee not as bitter and you can drink it, except for it's a very powerful aphrodisiac. It has this whole thing of like coming on to him and everything. Why is he so hot? And of course, the daughter, unfortunately meeting her hero. Being super disappointed that he's just some fat old man. This episode was good. It's still going to remain here and interesting. I'm going to leave it right there. But this show is just a good comedy. Oh, I still can't get over the nipple dude from last week. Like that was just so out there. Or the inventor chick. Where are you from? My dad's nutsack. There's just so much dumb shit in here that I have to laugh at. It's a riot. Okay. Biggles' secret favorite anime. She clearly went to a Blue Mountain State. Went to Blue Mountain State. Where do you come from? From our father's balls. Anyway, Biggle's favorite, Night of the Living Cat, totally serious, not a parody of a zombie movie genre whatsoever kind of show that he absolutely 100% watches every week because he loves it to death. You're probably going to be heartbroken here, Biggles, but I'm moving this one down to the okay category. This is one where, like, sure, it's ridiculous and I enjoy it, but the shtick only goes for so long. You can only take so much of people talking this bullshit about fucking cats before you start to get sick of it. And we're 7 episodes in, and we're still talking this bullshit about the fucking cats. Okay, I'm getting tired of this one, man. I'm getting tired. So of course we do have, the smart cat or whatever. So whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. There's they show a bunch of action movies with cats and everything in this one. But the big thing is we have a group of tough guys who are like supposedly like really, really good at dealing with cats and everything. And it's a father and his 2 sons. And it's the stereotypical, we went out for supplies and, something went wrong. So yeah. Our main characters are on a rescue mission now to take care of that and to save the remainder of that group. If there's anything left there when they arrive. I don't know. I may end up dropping this one too. It was funny, like the first, I don't know, a couple of episodes with how ridiculous it is. But eventually, like, I just kind of get sick of the shtick. And I feel like I just need a fucking break. All right. Shy Hero and Assassin Princess. I can sum this one up in a 1 sentence, actually. Do you have love? Or, sorry, do you know love? So basically, they arrive at this town. And it's supposed to be like a dungeon town or whatever, but everyone's been hypnotized and are obsessed with love for whatever reason. So, I haven't gotten to Waterikun yet. I have not gotten there. We are still probably going to talk about that. I have a couple more before I get there, but I will talk about that. So Toto actually manages to stay conscious throughout this whole episode. So I'm impressed. But of all the people to send right into the heart of be like all the hypnotism that is happening in this fucking town, why would you send the one person with the least resistance to hypnotism? That was just a dumb idea. So Anemone gets hypnotized, and now she's trying to kill the other 2 girls because they had to have some sort of dramatic conflict or whatever. Toto gets himself intentionally arrested. He's just unaffected by everything, but he's able to break out of prison whenever he fucking wants. So he's just going to go do that. I like that the dude's just sort of like ridiculously overpowered, but they find unique and just rather interesting ways to sort of put him in a bind. Especially with this whole thing about like love and everything in this town. Like, that is legitimately the dude's fucking weakness. Do you know love? City. I'll try and breeze through City here really quick. I thought it was funny. Like, I enjoy this one. Just personally. I thought the gags were good this week. But that's all I will say about it because I don't think anyone else here watches this fucking show. Lord of Mysteries. Lord of Mysteries actually had a good episode this week. I really did like this one. I thought it did a really good job of handling the whole like Neil's death. Klein's advancement thing was pretty interesting. Their whole like discussion about the acting method and all that. There was some cool stuff, but really the big heavy hitter for this one was they actually had a death that like mattered to me because old Neil was a character who had been around. He was kind of like an endearing character in all of this and somewhat tragic. So seeing his death in all of this was kind of sad. So hats off. You actually made me feel something for once, Lord of Mysteries. I am impressed. Well, feel something other than confusion and boredom. Probably one of my favorite episodes of this show yet. Poor, lonely, old drunk. Yes. Dude really just had to go out on a sour note like that. It was fucking rough. New Saga. Let's talk about New Saga. This is another one that I'm moving down to the okay category. Because I haven't really been a huge fan of what they've done the past couple of episodes. So somehow Kyle knows Miranda. We don't really understand that. We do also see that Theron gets tricked by a trap, who happens to be the one who invented the golem that helped Kyle break into the Demon Lord's castle and perform that whole assault. So there's some interesting stuff there. He, goes and delivers some he pays the kid's debts off pretty much and lets him continue developing all that stuff. We get the stereotypical dwarves and elves don't get along very well sort of stuff. But really the big thing here is Kyle has a run-in with someone who, studied alongside his mother, who is a court wizard of a somewhat hostile country, a not friendly country, I'll say it like that. And they talk about how this guy is like powerful and everything, and he's going to be a problem. And then they just fucking murk the guy. The dude just gets fucking murdered by a demon. Great. So what are they going to do now? Kyle doesn't have his fucking sword. Nobody's armed. What are you going to do? It's a very strange twist, but I just haven't been as impressed with New Saga as I have over the past, or as I was in the very beginning. Like, I thought it was good. Now it's just kind of like, it's there. It's not terrible. Probably could be better. I just feel bad for Theron, dude. Like the dude put in work last episode, and of course nobody wants anything to do with him. He gets cheated into helping some kid who looks like a chick but is a dude. Bro gets the short end of the stick like every fucking time. And that does bring us to Sakamoto Days. So it looks like we're moving on into the she gets pussy, poor Theron. Yes, I agree. 100%. So the dude got the short end of the stick every time. Sakamoto Days. So we're starting the JCC exams arc, it looks like. And Sakamoto is just pretending to be a student or whatever. And this is another one where I don't feel it. Like, the action in this episode was really, really good, but this is one where the storytelling has never been there for me, and I'm not really a fan of the way it does things. It's very goofy and somewhat over the top with everything that's going on. I will say, though, that like they start talking about how like Slur's whole plan failed and everything because of the old guy. The highlight for me was a couple of the fights on the plane. I thought they looked good, but the blue hair girl being blue haired girl. I don't know. I don't have much to say on it. It's like what am I supposed to like go deep into like the fights and stuff like that? And I don't know. I'm blanking on things to say for Sakamoto Days. Like, I'm watching it because I like the action. All right, so that does bring us down to some of the last ones we've gotten. We're going to be working our way towards Watari-kun's garden. But first, we do have to talk about Private Tutor the Duke's daughter. I question whether or not this anime is worth my goddamn time. Like, I have an existential crisis on my hands as to whether I want to keep watching this. Because on one end, Alan has the perfect woman in the series who is already fully in love with him, is like totally into him and everything. Like, this red-haired sword girl is best girl. Just come on, just give up already. But no, we have to bait the whole thing with a bunch of other girls, especially ones who are far younger than him, who are like 13, 14 years old, because they all have fucking crushes on him. So basically, we just spent an entire episode fucking around so they could get a fucking heat generator for their spa day. This show has frustrated me. You have best girl right there. Lock it down. Be done. Continue on the rest of your life teaching, okay? That's all you gotta do, dude. Like, you don't even gotta fucking worry about the chick taking over, because her older brother is the one who is doing it. He's the one who's gonna be the head of the household. All right, move on. Just get fucking married, you two. Like, literally was only watching this show because I want this girl to get this guy. And even then, I'm sitting here like, why are you not doing anything? And you're just, continuing on with this, frankly, uninteresting group of middle schoolers who all have crushes on this dude. If it were not specifically for Lydia, I wouldn't have been watching this show in this far. And even now, it still acts like it doesn't want to commit to her. Even though I think I hate this show. I think I might just hate watch this show for the rest of the... Well, maybe he's a fucking retard. Okay. Oh, the water mage, or the water magician. Okay. Oh, as long as we're on the topic of lukewarm mid anime. Oh god. So the water magician. So we have Ryo intervening in a bit of a conflict and saving a girl from a bunch of dickhead knights. Meanwhile, the Crimson Sword decides that they are going to ban anyone from fighting Ryo. It's not even worth it for that anymore, to be entirely honest, Arceus. I think at this point I am just like in denial about it. Like, I need to see if this dude picks the fucking 14-year-old or the 20-year-old. I need to know how bad it is. Ugh. Anyway, Crimson Sword decides that no one is allowed to fight Ryo and should run if they're ever faced with that sort of challenge. And of course, now we're dealing with like the weird dungeon BS with everyone being transported just out of thin air and completely vanishing inside the dungeon. So it looks like they're going to get trapped in some sort of like realm. I assume this is where the Akuma are going to come back into the show. I'm watching this one because it's mildly entertaining and there are some cool elements to it, but largely it is just kind of generic isekai stuff. There isn't really much to say. There isn't really like anything like super impressive about it. Like, it's nice to see like the dickhead knights get their comeuppance, but like, I don't know, do something like the Akuma stuff was cool, and then nothing else has been. Of course, there are a couple of people who did seem to try and bait the Crimson Sword guy into, an assassination attempt, but it didn't work. So I guess there's one interesting plot development, one thing that could provide some cool potential stuff here in the future. But I guess I'm just jaded because I'm not particularly expecting it to be good. All right. I got 3 more to get through, okay, and then we're done for the night. So, this is the final one in the okay category. Watari-kun's Garden. Okay. So to be fair, I guess this episode was mildly more impressive than anything else in this category. I am really, really pissed off that bro has been thirsting over this chick for the entire series, only to finally bag her and be like, I don't know. I don't think I deserve you. I don't think I'm worthy of you. I'm a little sketched out here. Oh, it pissed me off. Like, dude, you have been spending all this time talking about how much you want to date her, how into her you are, and like she's into you. She confessed to you. Like, come on, dude. You got your girl. You've got your girl. Just lock it down and move on. Fuck. Fuck. But I do at least, respect her after a very long and awkward date that was just kind of meh to watch. Like, they go on their stereotypical like awkward date and everything, but hey, at least they held hands on their first date. Congratulations, you're dating faster than some of the other series that are out there, and you're actually, making some progress and everything. But holy shit, girl, you held hands once, and now you're gonna fuck him? You held hands on a date once, and like just barely at that. And now you're out shopping for condoms because you want to one up the other girl because she was his first kiss. So now you're going to fuck him? Holy escalation. Man, this show is fucking wilding. And not in an entertaining way. Like, this main character is the most wishy-washy dude out there. It is almost just as frustrating as can a boy-girl friendship survive. To be fair, that's how it went with my first girlfriend. So what, you held her hand and then you shoved your dick inside her? I forgot about the third girl. I forgot about the fucking third girl. Shit. I forgot. They're adding another girl. Oh. End my fucking suffering. Hey, that's less than what's going on with Waterly-kun's garden. What the fuck, man? Like, I make fun of it's some bullshit. It is some fucking bullshit. And I think someone said it's like a couple of cuckoos. Making the wrong fucking decisions. Bro, there are 3 romance anime where best girl is right there and the dude is just not going for it. Like, what the fuck? Cultural Exchange with Game Center Girl, Private Tutor, Waterly-kun's Garden. How hard is it to just, pick the girl? Just choose the girl. Come on, man. Don't get hung up on this bitch who's a fucking psychopath. I gotta stop. Okay, Reborn is a vending machine. Okay, Reborn is a vending machine. So in this one, we get a little bit of a resolution to what happened with the teleportation circle. And Lamas decides that what she's going to do is just fucking split an entire dungeon floor with a punch so that she can jump through it and fall on a parachute. But the most part of the episode is basically just our crew adventuring as a bear carries around a vending machine and meets a snow girl who apparently, if you cut off her head, turns into a cursed totem pole. Yeah, Renji gets an excuse because his show is actually fucking tolerable. So there's some fucked up implications in this one. But at least I was kind of like nervous that they were gonna like stick Lamas in some sort of like crazy situation where like she gets kidnapped by the enemy and they have to go like save her or something. I'm kind of glad that they didn't go with that and that she just punched a hole through a fucking dungeon floor and jumped through it. And yes, I'm really hoping we don't get decapitated little girl because that would be really, really fucking dark. And I actually kind of like this character. So I'm hoping that she sticks around for a while and then nothing bad happens to her. Of course, I did find it funny that there was a competition between her and Boxo over who was gonna prepare meals and everything, because she has piece of field and he has all his vending machine stuff. So she's constantly doing all the vegetable stuff, and he's doing his thing. So there was some good stuff in this one. It was pretty dark, especially after last week. Like, this one was pretty fucking dark with the implications about decapitating the kid. Holy shit. Yeah, that's true. I completely overlooked that for a little bit here. She can directly talk to him. And that brings us to the last one of the night. Nuki Tashi. The most unhinged anime of the season. Okay. I'm so confused as to what just happened in this episode. Like, there's so many things in here that just don't make sense. The most comprehensible thing about this episode of Nuki Tashi is our main character fended off a knife attack with a dildo of steel, and it had much better animation than T-Bait ever did. I mean, you also kind of got raped in this episode, so there's that. But like, it's kind of weird watching this dude, like, who's not even like had his hands tied down or anything, just like, let this girl be all over top of him. But there are a couple of things that just don't make sense to me. So first of all, why didn't you shoot the guy when you had the chance? Oh, there's some threads and stuff around here. And you either fire the bullet and kill the guy and be done with it, or you fire the bullet, it gets sliced up by a bunch of thread. Oh no. And then it turns into shrapnel that kills the guy, and you're done. That the whole like, oh, I have him in my sights, but I'm not going to shoot. What the fuck is that? MC gets raped after 5 episodes. Meanwhile, Rent a Girlfriend after 300 some odd chapters still can't get fucking anywhere close to a girlfriend. He's still fucking paying. But I think the final thing about this show that really baffles me, how did that blue-haired girl survive? How did the blue-haired girl, what is she made of, that she can get hit by a fucking truck and walk it off? Like a fucking box truck. She gets hit by a box truck and just walks it off like it's a natural thing to do. This show doesn't make any sense. It is batshit. This show is like, I should hate it, but I can't help but watch it because it is so fucking stupid. sex toys as weapons. And chicks getting hit by fucking box trucks and not dying. It's insane. I almost regret that, like, I am not drinking right now. Gets dick injected into a truck to be isekai'd. That is a fucking sentence I have now said. What in the hell did you just... That is a sentence that is now out there in the world. Gets dick injected into a truck to be isekai'd. I got nothing. I genuinely have nothing for the show. Like, I don't know. I do not know what to do about this show. Casually. Screenshot there. Is it bad that it's accurate? I don't know what's bad about any of this. What the fuck is going on? All right. There we go. Solo layup. I'm lost, man. I am so fucking lost right now. Nuki Tashi is, without a doubt, something insane. Well, with that said, that does bring us to the end of the night. There we go. Words. I can say them. Yes. So thank you everyone who tuned in and who listened to me slowly lose my mind over the night. I'm really upset that I do not have any alcohol on hand because I feel like I need a drink after talking about some of this stuff. But I'm trying to stay away from it for the time being. So no drinking for Crimson for a while. That said, I'm going to try and get back on the grind for videos and stuff after the Battlefield beta closes up because, like I said, I'm addicted. I have a problem. But I am reworking the whole Light Yagami video. I'm going to be getting that done and posted. And there are a couple of other projects that I do want to do. There's a pretty big one that I do feel like I'm going to be starting in the near future. But with that said, like I said, thank you everyone who showed up. I really do appreciate you. You don't have to spend your time with me, but you do, especially here on a Saturday night, recapping all this stuff. Makes it worth doing. So if you haven't liked the stream already, I would appreciate if you did. If you're somehow new and this is like the very first thing you've ever experienced from me and you made it this far, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And stick around for more content, more streams. That said, good night. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll likely see the most of you on Monday.
Hibana-chan.